The pieces of Eden are quite evidently abundant in Assassin's Creed, with many different types appearing throughout the series. From the well-known Apples of Eden to Swords of Eden and Spears of Eden, we've encountered a wide variety of these powerful artifacts. Some are more obscure, and there are still many others people might not be familiar with. So what I want to do in this video is explain the history of the pieces of Eden, and then go over every piece of Eden that we know of in the entire Assassin's Creed universe. While you can always check the Assassin's Creed wiki for this information, some of the text can be a bit confusing. So instead, I'm making this video to break everything down in a way that's much easier to understand, and most importantly, you can just listen to it. Now, real quick before I get into it, if you do enjoy this pretty lengthy video, do consider hitting that subscribe button. You can also consider becoming a member of my Patreon to receive some pretty good benefits such as early videos, shoutouts and more. You don't need to, but it's there if you want. With that said, this is every piece of Eden in Assassin's Creed explained. Real quick before I get into it, if you love the Chinese novel Journey of the West, or maybe you play Black Myth Wukong, you'd know how incredible Sun Wukong is. So I've got something cool for you. If you're into stunning graphics, insane boss battles, intense gameplay and over 800 unique champions, then this right here is your game. Right now, Raid Shadow Legends has an exclusive offer that will get you one of the most powerful champions in the game, Sun Wukong, the legendary Monkey King. If you're a new player, download Raid using my link in the description and enter the promo code Monkey King within the first 72 hours of registering, and you'll unlock Sun Wukong as a free champion. Based on the legendary trickster from Chinese mythology, Sun Wukong's skills are just as insane. From stealing all buffs from enemies, placing block buffs on all targets, having a staff that ignores 50% of a target's defense, to the insane passive ability where if he's knocked out, he can fully revive himself. But don't wait too long. This promo code is only available until the end of October, so make sure you grab him while you can. And if that's not enough, Raid is running one of its biggest events right now, the Asgard Divide. From now until November 22nd, you can get Loki the Deceiver and other legendary champions like Thor, Odin and Freya. Just log in for 7 days and Loki the Deceiver is yours for free. And after you unlock him, there's even more rewards waiting for you. Each of the Asgardian champions brings something unique to the table. Thor Feyhammer delivers devastating AoE damage using the brand new Thunder counter. Odin Feyfather can apply a Berserk debuff, which ramps up the damage his targets take in Dish Out. He does not just steal enemy buffs though, he revives his allies and deals jaw-dropping single target damage. And then there's Freya Fateweaver. She's your ultimate support champion, shielding her allies and boosting their defenses. One of her most clutch abilities is preventing the death of the ally with the highest critical damage, making sure your hardest hitters stay in the fight for as long as possible. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, you'll even face Odin himself in a special event dungeon. So what are you waiting for? Press the link in my description or scan the QR code on screen to download Raid. Use the promo code Monkey King within 72 hours to get Sun Wukong and log in for 7 days to grab Loki the Deceiver. Simply search for me under the name The Hidden One and join my clan Hidden Ones, and let's conquer Teleria together. The pieces of Eden are ancient and incredibly powerful artifacts. These are not just any ordinary objects, or maybe they appear to be, but instead these artifacts are highly advanced technology created by none other than the ezio, an ancient godlike civilization that existed long before humans took over the world. The ezio engineer these artifacts to control humans by interacting with special neurotransmitters that they designed into human brains. With these pieces, the ezio could control human thoughts, emotions, and even behavior, making humans their obedient servants. While most pieces of Eden were created to control humanity, not all of them follow this pattern. For example, take the Shrouds of Eden. Instead of controlling humans, this piece of Eden was made to heal even the most fatal wounds. A great example of this we've seen is Crawford Starrick in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. This diversity in their design shows just how advanced the ezio were, with their creations spanning from mind control tools to powerful weapons like the Swords of Eden, which could unleash devastating energy blasts. Now, to the humans in the Assassin's Creed universe who did not possess the knowledge to understand these technologies, the pieces of Eden seemed like magic. Over time, as the ezio civilization collapsed after a catastrophic event known as the Great Catastrophe, these artifacts became even more mysterious, turning into legends and myths. Many people throughout history have fought over these relics, especially because of their immense power. Leaders like Alexander the Great, Napoleon Bonaparte, and even Gandhi were rumored to have used pieces of Eden to accomplish their remarkable feats. These artifacts became pretty much central to the centuries-old war between two factions, the Assassins and the Templars. The Templars sought the pieces of Eden to control the world and create their new world order, while the Assassins aimed to protect and hide them from those who had misused their power. The pieces of Eden did not just control minds though. Some could create illusions, bend reality, or make people disappear entirely. Despite their power, these artifacts weren't all invincible. Some pieces like the Staff of Eden could be destroyed, but their destruction often led to catastrophic consequences. Take the Tunguska explosion in 1908, where a staff was seemingly destroyed in an explosion the size of a nuclear blast. All in all, while these pieces of Eden were originally designed by the ezio to control humanity, their presence in human history has made them symbols of power and conquest, and the hunt for these artifacts continue, as both the Assassins and Templars race to secure them, each group with their own vision for how the pieces should be used. Let's start off with the most common piece of Eden that we constantly see in Assassin's Creed, and that's the Apple of Eden. Now, the Apple of Eden is one of the most recognizable and powerful artifacts in the Assassin's Creed series. These sphere-shaped devices are actually pieces of highly advanced technology created by the ezio. The apples have played a pretty large role in shaping human history, often being mistaken for divine instruments due to their incredible powers. Throughout history, the apples have been linked to legendary events, such as the story of Adam and Eve, the parting of the Red Sea, and even the Trojan War. Ancient groups like the Order of Ancients and the Hidden Ones refer to them as orbs, recognizing their immense power. The Apple of Eden has several unique abilities that sets it apart. It can project illusions, control people's minds, manipulate physical objects, and even cast powerful energy blasts. It has the ability to unlock hidden memories, and can quote-unquote talk to its users, revealing advanced knowledge. These abilities made the apples incredibly valuable and dangerous, often falling into the hands of some of history's most powerful figures. However, not everyone is affected equally by the apple's powers. Human beings with ezio ancestry, such as certain members of the Assassin Brotherhood, are sometimes resistant or even immune to the apple's mental control, although they can still be harmed by, just whacking somebody over the head with it, so I guess it's still effective. The Apple of Eden has been pretty much the central artifact in the ongoing war between the Assassins and Templars, who both seek control of the pieces of Eden for different purposes. The Templars view the Apple of Eden as a tool to bring about order and control, while the Assassins fight to protect free will and prevent its misuse. Now, before I go over every known Apple of Eden, the following information you're about to hear is taken from my Apple of Eden explained video. It is better to not completely repeat myself, so here's every Apple of Eden that we currently know of. Let's start off with all the unclaimed apples of Eden first, the ones that we don't currently know where they're located. So first off, Apple of Eden 1. This apple was first discovered in the Saint Denis Temple in France. It played a pretty important role in creating a sword named the Sword of Suja. I'm sure if you played Assassin's Creed Unity, you know all about that sword. Now, during the French Revolution, the protagonist of Assassin's Creed Unity, Arnaud Dorian, secured the apple and handed it over to the assassins over in Cairo. Napoleon later went there to acquire it to rise as France's ruler, but somehow lost it in an unknown way. The fate of the apple after Napoleon came into the hands of a man who I'm surprised even exists in the AC universe, and that is Harry Houdini, who in real life was a very famous escape artist, illusionist, and stunt performer. In the Assassin's Creed lore, he managed to use the Apple of Eden in helping with his stunts. Quite a while later after that, the same apple played a massive role in JFK's assassination by creating a quote-unquote phantom on the hill illusion. If you want to know more about how JFK's assassination fits into the Assassin's Creed lore, then check out my conspiracy theories video I made, as I go more in depth with that topic. Anyway, after that, this specific apple is just simply a mystery. Nobody knows where it is, or if it's even functional. The next unclaimed Apple of Eden that we know of is Apple of Eden 3. This specific Apple of Eden was brought to the New World by the Freemasons. It also fell into George Washington's hands during the American Revolutionary War, but he was troubled by visions that gave him nightmares of some sort of parallel universe, where in that vision, he used the power of the apple to become the King of America. Now, because he was afraid of these visions, he simply handed over the apple to Connor Kenway, who later just simply tossed it into the sea. Now, you may think that this would be the end of the apple, but surprisingly, it managed to be recovered. By the 20th century, Franklin D. Roosevelt had acquired the apple. He collaborated with Winston Churchill and Joseph Stalin, playing a pretty important role in the lead up to World War II. After that, JFK, whose name appears a few times in relation to different apples of Eden, managed to become the owner of the apple. However, his tenure was cut short when he was of course assassinated, as I'm sure a lot of us know, especially if you know your real life history. After that, the apple managed to find its way into the hands of a defected assassin / Templar named William King Harvey. What he did with the apple is not known, but we do know that after his time with the apple, it managed to fall into the hands of the 36th president of the United States after JFK, being Lyndon B. Johnson, who in the lore of Assassin's Creed was actually a man who aligned himself with the Templars. Now here's where it gets pretty interesting. This same Apple of Eden was used for the Apollo 11 mission and ended up being helpful in finding another Apple of Eden located on the goddamn moon. Who would have thought an Apple of Eden on the moon? It just makes you wonder that the lore of this franchise goes beyond just planet Earth, and after that the apple's whereabouts are just simply unknown. So this Apple of Eden is the one I mentioned previously that was discovered on the moon. After the solar flare in 75,000 BCE, this apple, along with many others, was simply sent into the sky, but this specific apple landed on the moon. It was then recovered during the Apollo 11 mission that I mentioned previously, and after that the apple is simply unknown. Okay, now this specific Apple of Eden is definitely the most identifiable Apple of Eden in the entire series. So during the Italian Renaissance, Ezio Auditore famously used this Apple of Eden in his battle against the Italian branch of the Templar Order. It's pretty much what we know from the entire Ezio trilogy. So this Apple of Eden initially belonged to Ottoman Sultan Mehmet II during his takeover of Constantinople. Later, his son Sem concealed it in the Templar archives in Cyprus. After that, it fell into the hands between the Templars and the Assassins. It was eventually seized by Girolamo Savonarola, and then after that is what we know of in the games. Ezio then recovered the apple, using it alongside the Staff of Eden to access the Vatican Vault and communicate with a hologram of Minerva from the first civilization as shown in Assassin's Creed 2. We also saw the apple in use when Monteriggioni was under siege, in which Ezio gave it to Mario to keep safe. Of course, after that we know what happens, as shown at the start of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood when Mario was captured and killed by Cesare Borgia, who then took the apple. The apple then managed to get stolen by Rodrigo Borgia, who hid it in St. Peter's Basilica until Ezio retrieved it, using it to defeat Cesare Borgia and his followers. After that, Ezio then hid the apple in a vault under the Church of Santa Maria, where it stayed hidden until Desmond Mars and his team discovered it in 2012. Now when they discovered it, we got presented with that very unfortunate scene in which Desmond was manipulated by Gino into, stabbing Lucy, leading to his coma. The apple was then used by Desmond and his group to enter the Grand Temple and later to confront Abstergo in Rome. Desmond used his powers to make Warren Vidic and other Abstergo soldiers turn their weapons on themselves. After all that unfolded from Assassin's Creed 2 to Assassin's Creed 3, the apple currently is simply held by the modern day assassins. I do get the feeling that we'll see more of this Apple of Eden in Assassin's Creed Infinity that releases later this year. Okay, let's move on to an Apple of Eden that is showcased within the Assassin's Creed 2016 movie, a movie I recommend solely for the purpose if you just enjoy the lore of this franchise. It's an okay movie, it's definitely not the best, but it is worth a watch nonetheless. Anyway, as for Aguilar's Apple of Eden, this apple has some pretty fascinating backstory. In fact, this Apple of Eden was in possession of the first ever human being to possess one, with that being Mohammed XII of Granada, who surrendered it to Tomás de Torquemada, the Grand Inquisitor and a Templar, in 1492, after his son Prince Ahmed was taken hostage. The apple did not exactly remain with de Torquemada for long. In fact, the assassins Aguilar and Maria in the 2016 movie managed to reclaim it. Although Maria managed to lose her life during the conflict retrieving the apple, Aguilar managed to flee with the apple, eventually passing it on to Christopher Columbus, an ally of the assassins. Christopher Columbus carried this Apple of Eden on his voyage to the Americas, where it stayed in his possession until he passed away, after which the apple was entombed with him in Seville Cathedral in Spain. The Templars then located and retrieved the apple in 2016 by accessing the memories of Aguilar through Callum Lynch, but during his presentation to the Templar Council of Elders in London, Callum assassinated Alan Rickon and fled with the apple. If you played the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC in Assassin's Creed Origins, then you know all about this one. So this specific Apple of Eden belonged to the Pharaoh Akhenaten, who discovered it during his rule. He and Queen Nefertiti, believing the apple to be the deity Aten, founded a religion that worshipped this artifact. After their deaths, their son Tutankhamun, who's probably the most famous pharaoh in history, inherited the apple but decided against continuing its worship. Instead, he entrusted it to the care of the high priest of Amun in Thebes. By the 1st century BCE, the apple was under the guardianship of the god's wife of Amun. Unfortunately, she was murdered, and the apple then fell into the hands of her daughter Isidora. In 38 BCE, Isidora wielded the apple to summon ghosts images of past pharaohs to avenge her mother's murder, an act that the people of Thebes call a curse. Bayek then went to Thebes to solve this mystery. He identified Isidora as the source of the curse, eliminated her, and then took the apple. Bayek then gave the apple to Suthek, a relative of Pharaoh Ramses II, for protection. However, Suthek later died under mysterious circumstances. But here's where it gets a bit strange. The body of Suthek was discovered by Bayek himself, but the apple was nowhere to be seen. So if you've read the comic named Assassin's Creed Valhalla Song of Glory, then this specific Apple of Eden might be familiar to you. So this apple was stored in the Temple of Heimdall, located on the Fikenstapper Mountains in Ryafylke, Norway. It was discovered in 870 by Gull, a slave under Kjotve the Cruel and a reincarnation of the Isu Eden. During a confrontation in the temple, Eivor stumbled upon a hidden chamber filled with gold, and an Apple of Eden just there on a pedestal. As Eivor attempted to claim the apple, she was momentarily incapacitated by Gull, who regained her Isu memories upon touching the apple. Despite the temple's imminent collapse, Gull used the apple to paralyze Eivor, revealing her true identity and rejecting her former life as a slave. Now when Gull accidentally dropped the apple, the stasis was just broken, freeing Eivor, and as the temple was crumbling, Eivor saw the apple's potential power, but chose her people's safety over claiming it, and so the apple was left behind with all of its secrets. So the next time you play Assassin's Creed Valhalla and you run into Kjotve the Cruel, just know that he's a character that has deeper lore behind him, and he's not just there for the sake of being evil. You see, that's why I love the lore of this franchise, because characters that you may expect have no meaning at all can actually be pretty influential in other Assassin's Creed forms of media. And yes, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla Song of Glory comics is canon. Okay, so now that I've talked about all the apples of Eden that are currently unknown and apples that we don't exactly know where they are, let's move on to the apples of Eden that we know have been destroyed. So this specific apple of Eden is, in my opinion, the second most recognized after Ezio's apple. It was initially in the possession of Medina Moon from the Order of the Ancients and was ultimately retrieved by Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins. He used this apple to avenge the mockery of his son Kemu's death, and after this set of events, Bayek simply kept the apple, eventually entrusting it to Apollodorus. However, it briefly fell into Flavius' hands, but Bayek reclaimed it once more and later secured it in the library of Alexandria. Unfortunately, the apple was then later taken by the Templars, who hid the apple in Solomon's temple until 1191, when Al-Mualim sent his assassins to retrieve it. This is where we see Al-Mualim use it to control Masyaf's population. Altair pretty much overthrew Al-Mualim and took the apple and utilized it throughout his life. The next owner of this apple was way later, with Elizabeth I of England, who used the apple to support Protestant beliefs over Catholic ones. After Elizabeth I, the apple actually fell into the hands of Gandhi himself, who used it to gather a large following in India. However, the Templars found out about this and assassinated Gandhi to claim it. By 1960, the Templars used this apple and another in JFK's assassination. Then the apple was ultimately destroyed in the DIA satellite accident. The fourth apple of Eden first appeared in Chinese art from the 10th century, depicted as a golden sphere held by a demon, initially mistaken for a grenade. Nikola Tesla, a renowned inventor from Croatia, was the earliest known human to have this apple. It's believed that he used it to advance his electrical inventions. However, the Templars, seeing Tesla as a threat, discredited him through Thomas Edison and ultimately stole the apple from his laboratory, contributing to Tesla's mental decline. Henry Ford then received the apple, using it to control his factory workers for increased profits, before sending it to Adolf Hitler, right as he rose to power in Germany. In 1943, Adolf Hitler passed the apple to Templar Gero Kramer for use in secretive projects, including one that involved kidnapping Tesla to work on a device called the Glock. This is something I also talked about in my conspiracy theories video, so I won't go too in depth here. So pretty much by 2017, it's believed that the apple was simply destroyed. So this specific apple of Eden was one that we saw near the start of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. This apple of Eden was held in an underground lab by the British Templars and was examined by the scientist Sir David Brewster. When Evie Fry killed Sir David, the apple overloaded and exploded, destroying the lab and everything within it, leaving Evie as the only one to make it out alive. This specific apple of Eden was one that we saw throughout the story of Assassin's Creed Odyssey's crossover stories expansion. So Cassandra discovered pirates searching for hidden treasure on an island. She joined forces with Herodotus and Barnabas and then embarked on a quest to locate this treasure, which turned out to be another apple of Eden. After defeating the pirate captain who was strengthened by the apple, Cassandra attempted to claim it. However, the apple interacted with a spear of Leonidas, draining its power, then propelled itself away. Barnabas attempted to retrieve the apple for Cassandra but fell under its spell, leading to a confrontation between the two. Cassandra eventually wrestled the apple from him and shortly thereafter destroyed it. Just like the last apple of Eden I discussed, this apple was also involved during a crossover story expansion, but instead of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So Eivor and Cassandra during this crossover story collaborated to find an apple of Eden hidden in the Cave of Gold, which is an ancient ezio temple on Scotland's Isle of Skye. Together they neutralized the apple's abilities, halting the spread of nightmares across the island and preventing Eivor from transforming into a mysterious creature. Afterward, Eivor passed the now powerless apple to Cassandra, who is believed to have destroyed it. Next up, we have something that is not traditionally classed as a piece of Eden, but instead it's a precursor relic, which was developed using the knowledge of the ezio, and these are called Atlantis Artifacts. And to be fair, they look almost identical to apples of Eden. Now, these Atlantis Artifacts were created as part of the Olympus project. The purpose of this project was to create hybrid creatures that would inspire the myths of ancient Greece, such as the Cyclops, Minotaur and Medusa. There are 4 known Atlantis artifacts: the prize of the Cyclops, the prize of the Minotaur, the prize of the Sphinx, and the prize of Medusa. These artifacts were created to give ordinary humans incredible powers, essentially transforming them into the mythical creatures that we know of from Greek mythology. These beasts became the source of legends, with their incredible strength and abilities. However, they were not born naturally. They were the result of humans coming into contact with these Atlantis artifacts. When activated, the artifacts fused with their bearers, turning them into monstrous hybrids like the Cyclops or Gorgons, and endowed them with immense superhuman strength and energy-based powers. In fact, we encountered encounter these beasts during Assassin's Creed Odyssey's open world, and we don't really think much about them and how they came to be where they are. Well, now you know. In fact, once you defeat one of these creatures, they drop their Atlantis artifacts in the process. If you have played or seen the Fate of Atlantis DLC, there's a part in the DLC where we return the artifacts to Atlantis, an ancient ezio city beneath the ocean, to seal the gateway to the Lost City. Now let's go over all 4 Atlantis artifacts and dive into the story behind them. First up, we've got the Prize of the Cyclops. This is one of the 4 Atlantis artifacts created by the ezio. This artifact was responsible for transforming a human into the fearsome Cyclops. In Greek mythology, the Cyclops is known as a one-eyed giant, and in the world of Assassin's Creed, this was no mere myth. The artifact allowed its user to project the image and abilities of its guardian, essentially turning them into a Cyclops. Cassandra encountered and defeated the Guardian, a Cyclops named Brontes, during her journey in 424 BCE, and she claimed the artifact afterward. Aside from transforming these people into powerful creatures, the Prize of the Cyclops also had another important role. It acted as a key to seal the gateway to Atlantis. Once the Guardian was defeated, the artifact's power left the body of the Cyclops, leaving behind nothing but a desiccated corpse. The second Atlantis artifact is named the Prize of Medusa. In this case, the artifact was tied to Medusa, a gorgon with the ability to turn people to stone with her gaze. The artifact allowed its user to take on the form and the powers of Medusa, one of the most terrifying creatures in Greek mythology. Once again, if you played Odyssey, you'd encounter this powerful guardian and defeat her to claim the artifact. Just like the Prize of the Cyclops I just talked about, we once again return this artifact to Atlantis. The third Atlantis artifact, known as the Prize of the Minotaur, is another important piece of Eden. This relic transformed its user into the Minotaur, a creature with the body of a man and the head of a bull. According to legend, the original Minotaur was defeated by the hero Theseus, but in Assassin's Creed, the artifact simply passed to a new guardian, who took up the mantle of the Minotaur. Cassandra encountered and defeated this Minotaur in 429 BCE, freeing the artifact from his grasp. Like the other artifacts, the Prize of the Minotaur also acted as a key to Atlantis, and the final Atlantis artifact is known as the Prize of the Sphinx. This relic gave rise to the legend of the Sphinx, a creature with the body of a lion and the head of a human, known for giving riddles to travelers. Cassandra encountered and defeated the Sphinx Guardian in 427 BCE, taking control of the artifact. And as always, the artifact was a key to seal the gateway to the city and protect the world from the dangers hidden within. What makes these 4 Atlantis artifacts different from other pieces of Eden is their specific connection to Greek mythology and their role in the Olympus project. While they share similarities with other ezio technology, such as their transformative abilities, they are not technically classified as pieces of Eden. Despite this, they are just as powerful and dangerous, and like other ezio relics, they have been the cause of many conflicts throughout history. The Rings of Eden are some of the lesser known but still interesting pieces of Eden in the Assassin's Creed series. These rings are not just ordinary jewelry, they're advanced ezio technology designed to serve as personal shields for whoever wears them, whether it's a human being or an ezio. Invented by the Aesir Iden or Eden, the rings create an electromagnetic field that can deflect projectiles and energy-based attacks. While they don't make the wearer completely invincible, they still provide a pretty important layer of protection. One of the most interesting stories about the rings involved the notorious pirate William Kidd. In the late 17th century, William Kidd acquired one of these rings and used it to create his own legend of invincibility. The ring's ability to deflect musket balls helped him survive many battles, fueling tales of his near supernatural durability. But like many powerful artifacts, the ring attracted unwanted attention. To keep it safe from Templars, William Kidd hid the ring on Oak Island and created a map that only a few trusted individuals knew about. It wasn't until much later that the colonial assassin Conor Kenway found the map pieces, tracked the ring down, and discovered its incredible power firsthand. The ring's power to project an electromagnetic shield might not sound as flashy as other pieces of Eden, but in combat, this defense could make such a huge difference. It even provided enough force to knock objects out of somebody's hand, as Connor found out when his first mate Robert Faulkner had his whiskey flask tossed from his grasp while near the ring. Apart from William Kidd's story, the Rings of Eden have appeared in other historical periods. For example, during the Viking Age, a ring known as this name, which I will dare not to pronounce, was forged by the ezio blacksmith Volund. This arm ring, which was made up of 7 pieces, had similar protective abilities. It passed through several Viking hands, such as Geirmund Helhyde and Guthrum, and even became part of peace negotiations with King Alfred of Wessex. Though the Rings of Eden are not as commonly discussed as, Apples of Eden or Staves of Eden, their defensive capabilities makes them unique. They represent a more quiet but still powerful side of the ezio technology, one that is focused on protection and defense instead of control and manipulation. The Shrouds of Eden are some of the most mysterious pieces of Eden. Unlike other artifacts that focus on control or manipulation, the Shrouds are all about healing and regeneration. These cloth-like relics created by the ezio have the ability to heal almost any injury, from stab wounds to birth defects, and even temporarily reanimate bodies. Their power to restore life and health is what made them so sought after throughout history by both the Assassins and Templars. The original Shroud of Eden was designed by the ezio scientist Consus, whose consciousness was stored within the artifact itself. This allowed him to communicate with those who used the shroud, though the user would not remember these interactions once their injuries had healed. The Shroud of Eden was first created as a sort of battlefield medical kit during the ezio's War of Unification, but it very quickly became much more than that. Over time, the shrouds became objects of legend, woven into various cultural and religious histories across the world. One of the most notable abilities of the shrouds is their power to scan the body of the user for damage and then reconstruct it at a cellular level. This made them extremely effective at healing wounds that would normally be fatal. However, despite rumors and legends, the shrouds cannot actually bring back somebody to life, though as I said, they can reanimate bodies for a short period, which is where many of these resurrection myths likely come from. The shrouds have had a pretty big impact on many key moments in history. One famous instance is when the Grand Master of the British Templar Order, Crawford Stark, used it in the 19th century. With its powers, he was able to instantly heal from otherwise fatal injuries, and even increase his strength to overpower multiple opponents, as seen by Jacob and Evie absolutely getting tossed across the room. However, once the shroud was removed, Crawford Stark lost his abilities, and was defeated by the assassin twins Evie and Jacob Fry, as well as Henry Green, I guess. Another fascinating figure connected to the shrouds is Giovanni Borgia. He was healed by the artifact as a baby, but later suffered from strange side effects. Throughout his life, Giovanni experienced vivid dreams of the memories of others who had used the shroud, and he communicated with Consus himself, the ezio who created the original shroud. These experiences made Giovanni unusually sensitive to the presence of pieces of Eden, which influenced much of his life as an assassin. Despite their miraculous abilities, the shrouds are not without risks. Prolonged exposure can lead to severe hallucinations, and in extreme cases, the shroud can destroy the user from the inside out, as seen with Niccolo di Pitigliano, who was torn apart after trying to heal himself completely with the artifact. The Spears of Eden are among the most strong and battle-centric pieces of Eden in Assassin's Creed. These spears are not just weapons, they're highly advanced tools designed to give incredible power to their wielders. Invented by ezio figures like Hephaestus and Consus, the spears were originally created for the War of Unification, which was a conflict during the ezio era. Since the fall of the ezio, humans have often used spears in their own wars and conquests, leading to their association with some of history's greatest warriors. One of the most famous Spears of Eden is the Spear of Leonidas, wielded by the legendary Spartan king during the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BCE. Passed down through generations, this spear found its way into the hands of Leonidas' granddaughter Cassandra. As seen in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Cassandra uses the broken spear of Leonidas to gain a range of supernatural abilities, from enhanced strength and speed to the ability to imbue her weapons with fire or poison. The spear also gave her visions of the past and increased her reflexes, making her a very strong fighter. If anything, the spear of Leonidas was much more than a piece of Eden. It was a powerful tool that made Cassandra nearly unstoppable. Another notable Spear of Eden is Gungnir, wielded by Odin himself. According to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, this spear was crafted by the dwarven blacksmiths Brokkr and Sindri, and became Odin's weapon of choice. Gungnir was said to never miss its mark and was used in so many battles. After the Great Catastrophe, it was left behind in a mountain, only to be collected centuries later by Eivor. Gungnir had unique powers, such as the ability to extend its reach using a force field, making it even more deadly in combat. Throughout history, the Spears of Eden have been wielded by influential figures, providing them with godlike abilities that helped shape the course of many battles and wars. In addition to just physically empowering their users, the spears could generate force fields and manipulate elements like fire and ice, making them versatile and fearsome weapons. The Staves of Eden, or Staffs of Eden, are among the most powerful and well-known artifacts in Assassin's Creed. They have a long history, with many being wielded by some of the most iconic figures in both myth and history. Now, since you can say staves and also staffs, I'm going to say staves from this point on. Anyway, these staves embody control and supremacy, often having the ability to manipulate human minds and bodies. Each staff has its unique history and a set of powers, making them incredibly powerful tools in the hand of their wielders. As of today, there are 7 known staves out there. The Papal Staff of Eden is most famously associated with the Vatican and the Catholic Church. This staff could control minds, create illusions, and when combined with an Apple of Eden, open the door to the ezio's hidden temples like the Vatican Vault. Wielded by historical figures such as Saint Peter and Rodrigo Borgia, the Papal Staff was primarily used to exert control over the Christian world. When Ezio Auditore confronted Rodrigo Borgia in Assassin's Creed 2, the Papal Staff played a key role in the fight between Ezio and the Pope. Eventually, the staff was lost beneath the Sistine Chapel after Ezio used it to enter the Vatican Vault. The Imperial Scepter is another example of a Staff of Eden, this time associated with the Russian Tsars, which means Emperor. It played a big role in maintaining control over the Russian Empire, especially under Tsar Alexander III and later Nicholas II. This staff could control minds and conjure illusions, and like the Papal Staff, it was a powerful tool of dominance. Unfortunately for the Templars, the Imperial Scepter was destroyed in 1908 during the Tunguska event, an explosion caused by the intervention of the assassin Nikolai Orlov and the scientist Nikola Tesla. Though the scepter was thought to be completely destroyed, some fragments of it survived and were used by figures like Rasputin. The scepter of Alexander the Great was yet another staff of legendary power. Alexander used it to conquer territories and create one of the largest empires in the ancient world. This staff could manipulate minds, create illusions, and unlock ancient ezio vaults such as the one in Siwa in Egypt. After Alexander's death, the staff changed hands several times, ending up in the possession of Cleopatra and later the Order of the Ancients, which were the predecessor to the Templars. The staff disappeared from history after the Roman era, and its current whereabouts are unknown. There were rumours about it being in Afghanistan, but like I said, those are rumours. The shattered Staff of Eden is unique in that it was broken into 3 parts, scattered across Spain during the Reconquest. It was sought after by Thomas de Torquemada, the Grand Inquisitor of Spain, who wanted to use the staff and the Apple of Eden to solidify his control over the country. Despite being broken, the staff retained its power to conjure tangible holograms, creating soldiers of light that could fight for its wielder. After a long struggle, the assassins managed to destroy the staff completely, ensuring it could no longer be used by the Templars. The next staff I'll talk about is the Venetian Staff of Eden, and this one surfaced during the Renaissance and was discovered by the Venetian Brotherhood of Assassins. This staff had mind control powers similar to the others, but after being recovered by Ezio Auditore, it was hidden away in the Colosseum vault in Rome. Abstergo later attempted to locate and study this staff for its own purpose, but the assassins managed to intervene and destroy Abstergo's research files on the artifact, preventing its misuse. The Staff of Hermes Trismegistus is one of the most well-known and powerful Staves of Eden. Unlike the other staves, this one has the ability to bestow immortality, regenerate its wielder, and also manipulate energy. It was first wielded by the ezio Hermes Trismegistus, and later passed on to the Greek philosopher Pythagoras, who used it to extend his life far beyond its natural limits. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Cassandra becomes the keeper of the staff, inheriting its immense power. The staff has the unique ability to protect its wielder from aging or death, though this immortality comes at a cost. In modern times, Layla Hassan acquires the staff and uses it during her journey to unlock the secrets of Atlantis. Eventually, Basim ibn Ishaq gains possession of the staff, further extending its long history, and as of right now, he still wields it. The last Staff of Eden is the Scepter of Aset, and this one is a piece of Eden with the power to grant charisma and leadership to its wielder. Originally owned by the Isu goddess Isis or Isis, or differently known as Aset, the scepter passed through various hands, such as Lugos of the Liberalis Circulum in the 2nd century CE, before them being lost in a shipwreck. The staff was then rediscovered by Italian fishermen in the 13th century, and was later given to the Egyptian assassins and used by the Mamluks during their revolt. In the 14th century, the Templars stole the scepter, but assassin Numa al-Kamsin recovered it before being ambushed and killed. His disciple, Ali al-Ghraib, hid the scepter in a well near Edfu in Egypt, where it remains to this day. The Swords of Eden are swords, and that was probably the most pointless thing I could have said. But jokes aside, the Swords of Eden are some of the most iconic and powerful pieces of Eden in the Assassin's Creed series. These mystical swords created by the Isu were designed to be used during the War of Unification, and have made their way into the hands of legendary figures throughout history. Each of the 5 currently known Swords of Eden holds immense power, granting their wielder abilities such as energy projection, better leadership somehow, and even teleportation. They also make their wielders resistant to the illusion casting powers of the Staves and Apples of Eden. Let's dive into the Swords of Eden that we currently know exist within the lore of this franchise. First up is the Sword of Eden 1, often just referred to as Sword of Eden. This weapon has a storied history, from its creation in the Isu era to its use by figures like Francois Thomas Germain and also Arno Dorian. The sword's full power comes from its 2 key components, the blade itself and a piece known as the heart. This heart unlocked the sword's true abilities, making it much more than just a deadly weapon. You see, by the early 14th century, the Sword of Eden found its way into the hands of the Knights Templar. However, after the Templars were branded as heretics in 1307, the Order's headquarters in Paris was attacked by King Philip IV's forces. During this chaotic time, Grand Master Jacques de Molay, somebody that we've seen in the prologue of Unity, entrusted his advisor with the task of hiding both the sword and the Codex Pater Intellectus, which is a very important Templar document. While the advisor successfully hid the sword, he was ultimately killed by the assassin Thomas de Carnelian. Meanwhile, Jacques de Molay, who had removed the heart from the sword, was captured and imprisoned. Before his execution, he buried the heart in the wall of his cell, keeping it hidden from both his enemies and also his allies. The same Sword of Eden resurfaced in 1429 during the 100 Years' War, when Jeanne d'Arc, guided by mysterious voices, retrieved the heart from the Chateau de Chinon. She later found the sword buried beneath a church and used it to lead the French army to several victories, inspiring her comrades and striking fear into her enemies. However, she lost the sword during the siege of Paris, where it was reclaimed by the Templars. In 1794, during the French Revolution, Francois Thomas Germain, a Templar Grand Master, wielded the sword in a fight against Arnaud Dorian and Elise de la Serre. However, the sword malfunctioned during the fight, emitting a deadly shockwave that mortally wounded Germain. Arnaud claimed the sword afterwards, but it was damaged and lost its powers. By 2016, the sword was displayed in Abstergo Industries. Templar historian Simon Hathaway restored its powers by finding the missing heart, and returned the fully functional sword to the Templar Inner Sanctum. We also have Genghis Khan's Sword of Eden, sometimes referred to as Sword of Eden II. This Sword of Eden was wielded by both Genghis Khan and his grandson Hulagu Khan during their conquests. It gave the Khans unmatched charisma and leadership skills, allowing them to unite and lead large armies. It also had the ability to teleport its user and blast enemies with energy. While the sword's current location remains unknown, its legacy left a mark on history as it helped shape one of the largest empires the world has ever seen. There's also Perseus' Sword of Eden, which was used by the Greek hero Perseus to slay the Gorgon Medusa. This sword was a vital part of Greek mythology and legend, but within Assassin's Creed lore, it was an advanced ezio artifact. The sword, along with other artifacts, was involved in multiple legends about Perseus, such as his famous rescue of Andromeda, though its specific abilities are not as well documented as some of the other Swords of Eden. Its role in ancient myth makes it a standout among these powerful weapons. Next is the Sword of Damocles, which made an appearance in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. This sword was used by Deimos, the cult of Cosmos' champion, and then later by Cassandra. It can project energy blasts, place energy traps, and generate protective energy fields. Deimos used it to terrorize the Greek world during the Peloponnesian War, and its power in the hands of a descendant of the ezio made it nearly unstoppable. However, after Deimos was defeated, Cassandra claimed the sword, although she was not able to fully unlock its potential. And last but not least, there's Excalibur, and yes, the same Excalibur from Arthurian legend. This sword is said to blind enemies with its energy blast, and was used by King Arthur to lead the Britons in their fight against the Anglo-Saxons. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Eivor discovers Excalibur after solving a series of puzzles and challenges across England. The sword's true resting place is with the mystical Women of the Mist, but its legendary power has been wielded by key figures, such as Arthur and Eivor. Okay, now that I've discussed every categorized piece of Eden, there are a lot, and I mean a lot of other pieces of Eden that are separate objects that do not fall under a name, like a sword or a spear, and so on. Now, since there are a lot of them, I'll not go very in-depth with each one, as I do want to try and avoid making this video over 10 hours long, and a lot of the information isn't really relevant. So let's talk about every other piece of Eden. Let's start with the Ankh. Now, the Ankh is one of the more mysterious pieces of Eden, said to have been created by the ezio and wielded by the ezio goddess Isis. It possesses incredible powers, such as the ability to heal the sick and temporarily bring back the dead. What makes the Ankh so unique is that it can record a person's mannerisms, allowing those traits to be transferred to a resurrected body, giving it some level of consciousness. The Ankh played a big role in Egyptian mythology, with Isis using it to resurrect Osiris for one final night, which led to the birth of their son Horus. Over the centuries, the Ankh changed hands multiple times, eventually finding its way to Europe during the Roman Empire. One of its most notable wielders during this time was Aquilus, a member of the Liberis Circulum, who fought to protect the artifact from the Order of the Ancients. In the 19th century, the Ankh was possessed by the Templar Ardman Kazan, but after a series of conflicts involving assassins and Templars, it was lost once again. The Ankh's current location is unknown, with rumors suggesting it could be anywhere from Paris to Germany, while some people, like Juhani Otso Berg, dismissed its existence as a myth. The Ankh remains a highly sought out artifact between both the assassins and the Templars. The Codex of Eden is a fascinating piece of Eden, known for its powerful persuasive abilities. This artifact was used by a Christian sect in the Kingdom of Alba to forcefully convert the local population. The Codex was kept in the Loch Ness Temple, which is an ezio complex hidden beneath the famous Loch in Scotland, which served as the headquarters for the sect. King Alfred the Great, an early Templar Grand Master, sought the Codex for his own ends. He tasked his acolyte, Egbert, with infiltrating the sect to obtain the artifact. However, things went bad when the British hidden one Adelaide attempted to recover it herself. After a confrontation with her pupil Edward, she was killed, and the Codex was shattered. Edward later provided the fragments to Alfred for study, ensuring its power would still be explored despite its destruction. The Crescent Amulet is a powerful and versatile piece of Eden that forms part of a set of 3 artifacts, each granting its wielder incredible abilities. The Crescent Amulet shares similarities with other pieces of Eden, such as the apples, but it also has unique powers such as mind control, illusion projection, and necromancy. One of the most remarkable features of the amulet is its ability to resurrect the dead, although it does have limitations. Only those who have recently died and whose bodies are still relatively intact can be brought back, and they return as mindless zombie-like beings under the control of the amulet's wielder. Also, the amulet allows its user to project tangible holograms, store memories, and even negate the abilities of eagle vision, making it an extremely deadly tool in the wrong hands. Throughout history, the Crescent Amulet has passed through many notable figures. Ferdinand Magellan, a famous Portuguese explorer, encountered it in the Philippines in 1521, but after his death, the artifact was lost until the 18th century. During this time, it resurfaced in Manila, where a monk used it to instigate riots and resurrect his fallen followers. Edward Kenway, who we all know, eventually came in contact with the amulet, and he used it in several battles, such as the confrontation with the Visayan chief Raja. Raja, who had claimed the amulet for his people, was corrupted by its power, becoming very ruthless in his quest to rid his land of foreign invaders. One of the amulet's most dangerous abilities is its access to the Nexus, allowing the wielder to see both past and future events. If you are not familiar with the Nexus, then you'd recognize it as the same place Connor and Juno were in Assassin's Creed 3, Ezio and Desmond in Revelations, and also Jupiter and Desmond. However, this power leaves the user vulnerable, as their consciousness is trapped inside these visions, making them easy targets. By the modern times, the Crescent Amulet had been lost again, only to be rediscovered by Abstergo Industries in the 1940s. However, the mission to recover it aboard the SS Orang Medan ended in disaster, and the amulet was once again lost at sea. Funnily enough, quite recently, in 2023, Templar Shimazu Sei rediscovered this location through the genetic memories of Edward Kenway's descendant Noah Kim, sparking a renewed battle over the artifact. The crystal balls are unique pieces of Eden that grant their users access to the Nexus, a realm where individuals and members of the ezio can communicate across time. This piece of Eden is shaped very similar to the Apples of Eden. One of the earliest known uses of the crystal ball was by the Viking Gorm Kjotveson, who brought the artifact to Vinland in the 9th century. Gorm, who was following instructions from the ezio Juno, used the ball to search for her grand temple. Eivor later assassinated Gorm and claimed the crystal ball, though she chose not to explore its full potential. The artifact was then entrusted to the local Kanien'kehá:ka tribe, where it remained for generations. During the Renaissance, English scientist Edward Kelly possessed a crystal ball, using it to gain insight from the first civilization and advance his technological research. However, Edward Kelly's brother was concerned about the power it wielded, so he took it away from him. In the 18th century, the crystal ball reappeared in the hands of the Kanien'kehá:ka, who gave it to Radenhagedun, aka Connor. He used it to communicate with Juno, who guided him in his mission to defeat the colonial Templars. After Connor's final use of the crystal ball in 1783, the artifact simply disintegrated, ending its influence on history. Similar to the crystal balls in name, the crystal skulls are powerful pieces of Eden used primarily for communication and observation. You see, these artifacts have 3 distinct versions. The first type functions like a telephone, allowing communication between individuals who possess one. The second type enables users to record and play back audio-visual messages. The third version serves as a monitoring device, connecting to a person's blood vial to project surveillance to their perspective. The crystal skulls have a long history, often appearing in pre-Columbian civilizations in the Americas. In 1520, the Italian assassin Giovanni Borgia discovered one in the Aztec city of Tenochtitlan during Hernan Cortez's conquest. Giovanni retrieved the skull from an Aztec priest, but its full purpose remained a mystery for decades. It was not until 1542 that Giovanni realized the skull allowed communication when he was contacted by a man using a similar artifact. In the 18th century, a pirate and a sage named Bartholomew Roberts, who we all know, used the crystal skull at the observatory, which was an ezio complex, to spy on individuals through their blood vials. Roberts, of course, betrayed Edward Kenway, locking him in the observatory, and fled with the skull. Kenway later tracked down Roberts, killed him, and reclaimed the crystal skull to stop the Templars from exploiting the observatory's power. Now, in the modern times, Abstergo used the crystal skulls for secure communication amongst their highest ranking members, such as Warren Vidic. Since there are so little of these crystal skulls, only a few Abstergo facilities and members have access to them. Patience Gibbs' Charm, also known as the Foresight Amulet, is a piece of Eden passed down to generations in Patience's family. This small but powerful artifact grants its wielder incredible strength and the ability to glimpse into the future for just a few seconds. This foresight allows the user to avoid danger and make very swift, informed decisions. This piece of Eden is pretty strange because for how powerful and unique it is, there is not much information about it, and that is the Fountain of Youth. Now this piece of Eden is believed to grant eternal youth to those who drink its waters. During the Age of Discovery, many explorers searched for this legendary artifact. In 1521, Spanish explorer and Templar Juan Ponce de Leon journeyed to Florida to claim the fountain. However, assassins in the region opposed his mission. They sent a man named Miguel Ramon Carlo de Lugo to persuade Ponce de Leon to abandon his search, but when he refused, the assassins killed him with a poisoned arrow. This piece of Eden named Fragment of Eden is one of the more underrated ones. It's also one of my favorite ones too. So this piece of Eden is similar to the Apples of Eden, but with unique abilities that can improve the speed and firepower of a ship. The artifact was highly sought after during the early 18th century, especially by pirates and Templars seeking to dominate the seas. In 1717, the fragment fell into the hands of the pirate Samuel Bellamy after he seized the ship wide off from Lawrence Prince. Bellamy knew how much potential this piece of Eden had and decided not to use it for his own personal gain, as it could enslave others by bending their wills. Instead, he passed the fragment to fellow pirate Alonso Batia to safeguard it from the Templars. Alonso's journey to protect the artifact led him to numerous adventures across the Caribbean, facing many attacks from those who wanted the fragment for their own power. The Fragment of Eden's final resting place remains a mystery, as pirate hunters and Templars look for it. In 2014, Abstergo Entertainment analyzed Alonso Batia's memories to uncover the fragment's location, but these efforts were ultimately unsuccessful. Freya's medallion is a powerful piece of Eden that serves as a key to unlock both Freya's cave and Odin's vault, while also providing the ability to create mental simulations and illusions within the wearer's mind. These simulations allowed warriors to train in a risk-free environment, honing their skills without the danger of real injury. The medallion also holds the power to project light and interact with ancient shrines of the Valkyrie. In the 9th century, Hilderan, a descendant of the Valkyrie Hilda, discovered Freya's medallion and used its illusionary powers to conceal Freya's cave. She later revealed the medallion's existence to Eivor, guiding her to a series of meditation challenges at the shrines of the Valkyrie. Once the medallion was fully charged, the two of them unlocked the door to Freya's cave, unveiling a hidden chamber with ancient treasures. The Huga Rip is a piece of Eden introduced in Assassin's Creed Valhalla's Dawn of the Ragnarok DLC. It was created by the dwarves of Svartalheim, and this bracer was gifted to Odin to help him fight against the invading Muspels and Jotnar. The Huga Rip allowed its user to absorb the life essence of fallen enemies, granting Odin the ability to temporarily shapeshift into the forms of ravens, Jotnar and Muspels. In Dawn of Ragnarok, we can use the Huga Rip to teleport to short distances, summon Draga to assist in battle, and also harness elemental forces like fire, frost and electricity. Not much is known about the Imperial Jade Seal. In fact, let me rephrase, nothing is known about this piece of Eden, only that it was in China, and if somebody had possession of it, it would grant them legitimacy to rule China. Maybe we'll see this piece of Eden in Assassin's Creed Jade, who knows. The Koh-i Noor is without a doubt one of the most powerful pieces of Eden in the Assassin's Creed universe. Known as the Mountain of Light in English, this diamond-shaped artifact is capable of binding the fates of every single other piece of Eden out there, making it incredibly important. Its abilities feature generating tangible holograms, projecting energy blasts, locating other pieces of Eden, and also creating powerful energy shields. What's very impressive is that the Koh-i Noor can even reconstruct itself after being shattered. The Koh-i Noor's power has passed through the hands of many figures throughout history, from ezio figures like Juno and Durga to historical leaders like Nadir Shah and Ranjit Singh. In the modern day, the Koh-i Noor became very important objects by the instruments of the First Will, who aimed to resurrect Juno using this artifact. However, their plans were thwarted by Elijah Mars, the son of Desmond Mars, a sage and also a descendant of Juno, who ultimately betrayed them. Using the Koh-i Noor, Elijah created an illusion of Consus, distracting Juno long enough for the assassins to kill her, ending her ambitions for resurrection. As of right now, the Koh-i Noor is still with Elijah, as he fled into the Australian desert all those years ago, and that is the last we've heard about both the Koh-i Noor and even Elijah himself. In my opinion, the Koh-i Noor is the most powerful piece of Eden in the lore. Its ability to bind the fates of other pieces of Eden elevates it above others, giving it control of even the most legendary artifacts. Whether it's used for creating holographic decoys, taking out enemies with energy blasts, or even influencing the course of history, the Koh-i Noor's power is quite literally unmatched. The Leah Fayal, or Leah Fail, also known as the Stone of Destiny, is a piece of Eden in Assassin's Creed Valhalla's Wrath of the Druids DLC. It's located on the Hill of Tara in Meath Island. Now, this ezio artifact was a sacred site for the coronation of Ireland's High Kings. According to legend, the stone could only be activated by the rightful king, but by the 9th century, it was used by Kira, the last member of a bloodline capable of wielding its powers. After High King Flan Sinna outlawed druidic practices in favor of Christianity, Kira, who was enraged, used the Leah Fayal to take control of Flan's soldiers. The artifact granted her the ability to manipulate minds, teleport, create illusions, and also increase her combat abilities. However, following a confrontation with Flan and Eivor, Kira was convinced to abandon her plan, and the Lia Fayal was shattered, leaving only remnants of this once powerful stone. The memory seals are powerful ezio relics used to store and replay memories, allowing users to experience events recorded by the original owners. These seals were designed to project stored memories, either through direct playback or by creating holographic projections. While this piece of Eden is not as versatile as some of the other pieces of Eden, their ability to preserve and relay crucial information makes them valuable artifacts. The seals played an important role during the ezio era, notably used by Minerva and Jupiter, who recorded messages to help future generations prevent another catastrophe. However, Juno, who opposed their efforts, discarded the seals into the depths of the Grand Temple. Over the centuries, memory seals appeared in various parts of the world, such as Egypt, the Abbasid Caliphate, and the Levant. These artifacts were highly sought after for their ability to convey knowledge from the past. Altair famously used 6 memory seals to record important moments of his life, such as his battles and personal struggles, which later played a big role in Ezio's quest to uncover the secrets of the Assassin Order. These memory seals were hidden throughout Constantinople, and became keys to accessing Altair's secret library in Masyaf. By the modern day, Abstergo Industries had recovered several of these seals, although many had lost their original functionality. Still, their research on these artifacts contributed to Abstergo's development of the Animus, a machine capable of accessing genetic memories, further raising the memory seal's legacy as a link to the past. I'm sure we've all heard of Mjolnir, right? Also known as Thor's hammer. This was a powerful piece of Eden that was originally wielded by the ezio Thor, and Mjolnir granted its bearer immense power, such as the ability to project electrical energy blast and control lightning. It was a very strong weapon that Thor used alongside his set of armor during the ezio era, especially during the events that later become known as Ragnarok. After Thor's death in the Great Catastrophe, Mjolnir remained hidden for millennia. In the 9th century, Eivor discovered the hammer in Norway after gathering Thor's armor. With Mjolnir in hand, Eivor harnessed his power for their own use, becoming one of the few people capable of wielding this legendary weapon. Odin's Eye, also known as the Eye of Odin, is a piece of Eden that functions as a compass and can project holograms while hovering and indicating the direction to Odin's vault. This ancient artifact was locked away in Freya's cave, hidden for centuries until its discovery in the 870s by Eivor. After a meteor crash near Ravensthorpe revealed the entrance to Freya's cave, Eivor, alongside Hildebrand, uncovered Odin's Eye. Hildebrand explained that the artifact wasn't the final treasure, but would guide them to Odin's vault. The compass briefly activated when Eivor approached, projecting ancient glyphs before deactivating. Though tempted to take it, Eivor was cautious, wary of Hildebrand's intentions regarding such a powerful artifact. What we do know is currently the Odin's Eye remains with Hildebrand, with its full potential yet to be explored. The Prophecy Disc is an artifact capable of recording and projecting audio-visual messages. It's pretty special in that it can split into 2 halves and requires a specific amulet to activate. In the 18th century, a former African slave named Jian discovered the Prophecy Disc hidden in the ezio ruins beneath the Mayan city of Chichen Itza. She recognized its connection to her own amulet and hid it from her Templar superiors. Years later, Jian's daughter, Aveline de Grand Prix, recovered both halves of the Prophecy Disc. In 1777, Aveline used the amulet to activate the disc, which displayed a message from the human rebellion against the ezio. The message revealed the election of Eve as the leader of the rebellion, offering valuable insight into humanity's ancient past. The precursor boxes, also known as ezio data caches, are ancient artifacts created by the ezio with remarkable abilities. These boxes serve as advanced knowledge storage devices, allowing interaction with other pieces of Eden to unlock their full potential. They can also decipher complex ezio scripts, project holograms, and even imprint the memories of one individual onto another. Throughout history, the precursor boxes have surfaced in various parts of the world, often in the hands of the assassins and Templars. For example, Ezio Auditore passed one of these boxes to Xiao Jun in the 16th century, guiding her in her mission to restore the Assassin Brotherhood in China. Similarly, during the 7 Years' War, the Templar Shay Cormac used a box to reveal a map of ezio's sites, which became a key tool in the Templars' quest to control the pieces of Eden. These boxes are not just repositories of knowledge, they also possess immense power. When paired with other artifacts such as the Koai No, a precursor box can unlock hidden temples and grant access to unparalleled knowledge and abilities. However, the energy required to power them is immense, often involving massive electrical surges or other artifacts. In the 20th century, a precursor box played a big role during the Russian Revolution, when the box imprinted the memories of the Chinese assassin Xiao Jun onto Anastasia Romanov, creating a unique connection between past and present. By the modern day, Abstergo Industries continued their efforts to unlock the mysteries of the precursor boxes, using them in conjunction with other pieces of Eden for their Phoenix project, in hopes of resurrecting the ezio Juno. The full scope of their power remains unclear, unclear, but their ability to influence history, unlock ancient secrets, and alter the memories of individuals makes them one of the most sought after pieces of Eden. The pyramid was a powerful piece of Eden created by the ezio with the ability to compute possible futures and read memories, especially from individuals with ezio heritage. It was made up of triangular segments, and it played an important role in the cult of Cosmos' rise to power during the Peloponnesian War in the 5th century BCE. The cult of Cosmos used the pyramid to manipulate events in ancient Greece, predicting and controlling future outcomes through its calculations. This allowed them to maintain influence for generations, even guiding the prophecies of the Pythia at Delphi. The Spartan warrior Deimos could access the pyramid's full power due to his ezio lineage. However, during a moment of rage, Deimos shattered the pyramid, breaking it into fragments. After the cult of Cosmos' downfall, Cassandra encountered the pyramid, receiving visions of future assassins, and dismantling its remaining influence by destroying the light construct linked to it. Despite its destruction, the pyramid remains one of the most important ezio artifacts in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Similar to the Imperial Jade Seal I talked about earlier, this piece of Eden is not explored much at all. All there is to know about it is that it was wielded by the ezio Saturn, who was the father of Juno during the Human ezio War. The Scythe of Eden had the ability to counter illusions, manipulate energy, and reveal hidden truths and realities. The Scythe appeared briefly in a flashback in Assassin's Creed Uprising, though it does remain unclear whether it survived the downfall of the first civilization. The current location of the Scythe is unknown. The Shrouds of Eden are fragments of ezio technology that can retain some of the powers of the original pieces of Eden. These shards can inherit qualities from a variety of different artifacts such as staves or rings of Eden, making them potent and mysterious relics. One notable example of shards being used is in the Mayan armor, constructed from fragments with magnetic properties similar to the rings of Eden. This armor was eventually discovered and worn by the pirate turned assassin Edward Kenway in the 18th century. Another pretty important shard comes from the destruction of the Russian imperial scepter during the Tunguska explosion of 1908. This shard was retrieved by the Russian Templar Rasputin, who used its powers to influence the Romanov family. After his death, the shard fell into the hands of Nikolai Orlov, a Russian assassin, who then passed it on to his daughter Nadia. She held onto the shard without knowing what it even was, and this was until October 2002. The Trident of Eden is an artifact that grants immense powers to its wielder, such as the ability to manipulate emotions such as inducing fear, devotion, and faith. One of the most famous wielders of the complete Trident was Alexander the Great, who used it alongside his ezio staff to build his empire and achieve numerous battlefield victories. After Alexander the Great's death, the Trident was split into 3 separate prongs, each possessing unique abilities. The Faith prong allowed the user to inspire absolute faith and devotion. The Fear prong could summon an individual's worst fears in a terrifying hallucination, and the Devotion prong induced unwavering loyalty. Throughout history, the Trident's prongs passed through the hands of several powerful figures, including Hernan Cortes, who used it during the conquest of the Aztec Empire, and Ulysses S. Grant, who hid one prong before his death. In the modern day, Sebastian Monroe and other characters sought the Trident, believing its power could alter the course of history once again. The Tubei-2 is a fascinating piece of Eden disguised as a book of prophecies, originally from China. While it is known in historical texts as a collection of cryptic predictions, the truth is far more interesting. It's actually an ezio artifact, much like many other powerful relics scattered across China. During the Tang Dynasty, the book was stored in the Hall of Assembled Worthies, along with other ancient texts. However, it wasn't just any book. It was said to have the ability to foretell the future, and even the Japanese scholar Abe no Nakamaro, who studied it, was in awe of its contents. He believed it had predicted the catastrophic An-Lushan Rebellion, which was a civil war in China that lasted 8 years, framing it as part of an ongoing ancient battle between light and dark. While Nakamaro regretted not taking the book with him when he left the office, he hoped it would remain safe during the chaos of war. Its revolutionary powers make it one of the most interesting and mysterious pieces of Eden in the Assassin's Creed lore. The Jovis' dagger is a piece of Eden that has played a role in history, spanning from ancient Greece to modern times. Although there are no real images of it that exist, except for this AI-generated one, it is a double-bladed dagger created by the ezio and was used by the Jovis, an ezio with a resurrection plot. To reincarnate himself to successive sages, the dagger had the ability to control minds, making it a powerful and dangerous artifact. In the 5th century BCE, the dagger was hidden in an ezio vault in Kefalonia. A mercenary named Cadmus retrieved the dagger after an encounter with the Order of Ancients. During a fight, the dagger split into 2 halves, one of which was lost, while the other was placed into a puzzle box that resurfaced centuries later. The blade passed through many hands, such as the Egyptian Hidden Ones, the English Templars, and also the Byzantine Crusaders. Each part of the dagger's journey was marked by betrayal and violence, as different factions sought to control its immense power. In the modern day, the puzzle box containing one half of the dagger was solved by Joey, a museum guard, triggering a chain of events that led to a confrontation with the Templars. Eventually, Joey and his allies reunited 2 halves of the dagger, only for Vajovis' hologram to appear, revealing his plan to reincarnate through Joey. In a desperate attempt to stop Vajovis, Joey shattered one half of the blade, halting the Ezio's resurrection plot. If you are wondering where this information is from, well, it's from the Assassin's Creed escape room puzzle book. Yes, a puzzle book. And that brings us to the end. Now, yes, there are other pieces of Eden, and big but, those other pieces of Eden I haven't mentioned are not important to the lore at all. I say this because, while Ubisoft decided to mess up the lore after Origins, so throughout Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we can wear armor sets as well as wield weapons that have no lore behind them, but are also pieces of Eden. For example, earlier I talked about the Atlantis Artifacts, which were pieces of Eden based on mythological creatures, while another piece of Eden is the weapon that they drop, but those have no real lore behind them. There are other pieces of Eden, such as random fragments and little stones, but these have literal zero meaning behind them. For example, take silica. We collect this in Assassin's Creed Origins as a farming material, and believe it or not, it's a piece of Eden. Anyway, if you did enjoy this pretty long video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, you can consider becoming a member of my Patreon if you want. The link will be down below. Once again, thank you to Raid for supporting this video. Press the link down below or scan the QR code on screen to download Raid. Use code MonkeyKing for Sun Wukong and join my clan Hidden Ones.